was it right to put that out in the public domain? I think for many of us, the issue of giving such detail in the Oprah interview, in a 6-part Netflix documentary, in the best-selling non-fiction book of all time, detail, you then have to ask yourself, how can you possibly reconcile now? How can that be?
Julie, it's lovely to meet you, because I don't get to mingle with the aristocracy all that often, so it's lovely to see you. But what are you doing with a title like the one you've got and an American accent? I can't get my head around it. Tell us about yourself.
I know, it's a bit of a mouthful, Viscountess Hinchingbrook. I prefer Julie Montagu. I think it's actually a lovely name. In the U.S., we don't recognize titles on passports, so I only travel to the U.S. on my U.S. passport, of course. That says Julie Montagu, much easier. But as you can tell, American through and through. Been here for over 2 decades. I don't think I've lost my American accent. Have I?
No. Well, no, yours is a very beautiful accent, so you had
That's
it.
very kind. A little bit about me. I grew up in a small town in Illinois and had sort of, a typical American upbringing, went to the same high school that my parents went to, and then sort of flew the nest and came over here. Met somebody named Viscount Hinchingbrook.
How did you meet? At a party? Okay, yeah.
At a party, and not purposely set up. Just we met at a drinks party. But to be fair to him, he told me that his name was Luke Montagu, and it wasn't until several months after dating that I learned about his illustrious past.
And how did you find out?
He paid for something, and when he paid for it with his credit card, true story, and I'm sorry if you've heard this before, anybody listening, because it's been told quite a bit, is I did say to him, why does your credit card say Viscount Hinchingbrook? And he did kind of look at me a little bit horrified, saying, it's Viscount. I'd never even heard the word Viscount before. And then, of course, I proceeded to say, I don't understand why it would be Viscount. It's spelled exactly like discount.
Yes. Yeah. Well, which is true. And did that make him, when you found out about who he was, did it make him more or less attractive?
Gosh, that's a good question. Do you know what? I was very naive about aristocracy. I'm going to be perfectly honest here. I literally, when I came over here, only thought the royal family existed.
Yeah.
I did not know that there were other dukes, other earls, other viscounts. So it didn't make it more attractive because I didn't even know what the aristocracy was. I'd only been in this country for a year, had no idea that whole world existed. Clearly, I hadn't even been a part of it.
Well, in truth, most of us who are British don't understand much about that world and about what goes on and about how people within those circles behave. So tell us what it's been like for you to navigate this quite bizarre system.
It is a bizarre system. That's exactly right. But for me, I feel I'm rather fortunate because the family I married into is absolutely brilliant. My father-in-law is still a hereditary peer in the House of Lords. He was one of the 90-something that were voted in. He's a crossbencher, Earl of Sandwich. Loveliest in-laws I could have ever even asked for. So I didn't have that sort of snobbery that I know does still exist in not and I mean a small percentage, but it does still exist in the aristocracy, and I think it's sure.
So, but you never felt looked down upon by anybody you met in those circles?
Within my family, absolutely not. Within the circles, yes, there have been absolutely occasions where as soon as somebody hears your American accent within that circle, you can just see sort of almost a sort of a look of, I don't know.
They flinch, do they?
They flinch, exactly. So I have been a receiver of snobbery in the past, but that's for the majority of the aristocracy and the friends that we have, they're incredible, and they're hardworking people. It's times have changed. You know, most of us have these historic houses that are open to the public, and we are hands-on.
And there is a house in your family.
Yes.
Where is it?
It's in Dorset, West Dorset.
And is it a castle or a...
Well, the castle was lost in 1955. Like many historic houses after the Second World War, economically it could make it work. My husband's grandfather, so he sold. It's now a school, and bought a smaller house, which is a manor house connected to some land that had been still in the family. But we've had this award since 2006 from Country Life, the nation's finest manor house. And
wow, that's okay.
So we are open to the public. It's a fine Elizabethan.
Right. And that's a job. It is a job to maintain it.
I mean, before I came here, I got my first manicure in probably like about 3 months, I would say. And they asked me what was on my nails. And I said, it's a mixture between green paint, red paint, and black floor stain, because I've just renovated nearly single-handedly a room in the house, the archive room, the monument room, from it. Stripping the floor. So yes, I'm very...
You're hands-on. Okay, I'm getting the message. And you kind of make a living out of being yourself, the American... What is your handle?
Yeah, American Viscountess.
Yeah. So you play with the whole idea of it. Well, why not?
Well, why not? And, you know, Bridgerton really helped me, because I think a lot of people like me didn't know how to pronounce it until whatever season it was of Bridgerton, when the Viscount meets the Viscountess. Yes. Thank goodness for that.
Yeah. Happily ever after, or is it? I can't remember.
Well, for me, it is.
Yeah, okay. But let's worry about you.
I hope for that, too.
Yeah, okay. So your backstory does give you actually quite a unique insight into how the Duchess of Sussex, for example, might have coped with the circumstances she found herself in. Now, what do you think about, because you and I happened, I think, to have both been at their wedding. Not as I certainly wasn't there as a guest. I was reporting, but it was such a happy, positive day, and not that long ago.
It's 5 years ago. And the service, the ceremony, and her bringing in elements of her heritage, her background, her Americanism,
the gospel choir, all of that stuff.
It was sensational, and I think everybody thought, brilliant. This couple is going to help modernize the monarchy. But just like that.
And here we are. It's sad, isn't it, actually?
It is sad, because I think they had a chance. I'm not saying I don't understand what they've gone through, but I think that they could have had this enormous chance, platform, opportunity to really do good, incredible work. They are doing good, incredible work as well, but even a bigger
platform. So who do you think might have got it wrong? Her or them, or both?
I think in this type of situation, it's, the truth has no sides, and I don't think any of us really know 100% the truth. So I always try to look at it from both sides, that there must have been hiccups and a little bit of mess ups on both sides. And it's whether or not they can come together and recognize that and reconcile that.
It doesn't look likely, does it?
It doesn't, because, as you said, it's, it went wrong, and we know that there hasn't been a reconciliation yet, at least with Meghan, because she is not coming to the coronation, and that's a huge sign.
Well, it may also have come as a relief to the royal family, I suspect.
I suspect you're right. I think it has dominated headlines now since the Oprah interview back in 2021. So we're going on 2 years that they have dominated headlines. And I think this is a time of celebration. The country and the world has mourned the death of Her late Majesty, the Queen, and now it's a time for celebration. But we know that the issues that they have, Meghan and Harry, are with those members of the family: Prince Charles, Queen Consort Camilla, King Charles.
King Charles. Yeah. Well, it's still an easy mistake to make.
Holy cow, yes. Yeah. And Prince William, and even Princess Kate.
I think that the difficulty for the king, I'm assuming here, is that Harry was critical of the Queen, because we now must learn to call her the Queen, I guess, Camilla.
Yes.
Currently, I think she's still the Queen Consort until the coronation, because he was critical of her, and that probably isn't very easy for him. And I'm not quite sure how anyone's going to get over that.
I think that is the $1,000,000 question. How do you get over something that has been broadcast to the world in a book that has sold more copies than any other nonfiction book?
It's quite a statement, isn't it? Actually,
And it's all there.
Yeah.
And it's detail. It's it's right down to the detail of conversation.
Have you read the book?
I have read extracts of
Yeah.
the book. Not, I didn't go entire through, but I have it, and
Well, then there are. So I've read it, and there are some extraordinarily intimate family details in there that I cringed when I read them. And I'm not saying that Harry is wrong. I'm not even saying he's wrong necessarily to have written it. But it is in an extraordinarily detailed account of some deeply personal family issues.
Yes, and you wonder about that. If who sort of pushed him to do that? Was it the therapy he's in? Was it random Penguin Random House?
Was it Meghan?
Was it Meghan? I think again, it's I don't know if we'll ever find out that answer.
No.
We'll find it out.
But there is a theory, I'm not saying I believe this for one moment, that Harry is completely in her thrall and that she has, made it very clear that they will live the kind of life she would like to live on her terms, and that some people consider him almost powerless to resist or to do anything about it. Do you buy that idea?
I think Meghan is, first of all, she's older than Harry, and which is brilliant.
Only a bit. She is a tiny bit. Yeah.
3 years, yes. She's had a lot of life experience compared to Harry. And what I mean by that is, she worked her way up the sort of acting ladder to land a huge role on Suits, which was enormously popular. She is outspoken. She has her views on politics. She's a feminist. She's independent, financially, securely independent, and didn't need, if you like, the royal family money. So I think she has a confidence in her because she's had to work very hard to get to this point.
And do you think misogyny played a part in the way that some people treated her?
I think a lot has. I do believe that the British tabloid press has had a part to play with how she was treated. I do think that she found it very difficult to be here. And when people say, "Oh, she knew what she was getting into,"
what do you say about that?
I get asked, she did not. I actually believe her on that because I have married into the aristocracy and I didn't know what I was getting into. Now, granted, it's completely different. Let's be honest, the aristocracy and the royal family, but still, it's that upper class.
Well, you've mentioned it yourself that you were, by some people, not your family, but by some people, you were treated with a certain amount of scorn and dismissed. And you're white. So can we talk about her allegations of racism based on your experience? Does she have a point there? And it's very difficult for two white women to talk about this, but I've mentioned it. So
it's very difficult. I think if she didn't experience it, she wouldn't have brought it up. That's a massive issue to stake a claim in if it wasn't true. So I do believe that, we can look at the British tabloid press and what they were printing, and we know that Harry put out a statement when they were dating and referenced those articles that were being printed about her. So absolutely, I do believe that she was getting, there horrible tweets as well. Racist tweets about Meghan, hate tweets. Would you want to grow up like that?
No, I wouldn't, and I wouldn't want to bring my children up in that environment, no. And I think I really hope that they go on to have a very happy and fulfilling life. I really do. And if that means they stay in California, then good luck to them. But I suppose some people fear that it may not end happily for them. I don't know. What do you think?
I guess if I sometimes I have to pick this apart for interviews. as we're doing now. And there was absolutely something was going on behind the scenes we know with the British tabloid press, we know with the royal family, but was it right to put that out in the public domain? I think for many of us, the issue of giving such detail in the Oprah interview, in a 6-part Netflix documentary, in the best-selling nonfiction book of all time, detail, you then have to ask yourself, how can you possibly reconcile now? How can that be?
Well, I was going to say, I mean, as a reader, there are now things I can't unknow. Right. It's just, yes, it's sometimes just too much, isn't it?
It's too much, and it's families for me. And I think for many people, family is so important, and sometimes your anger can get the best of you, and perhaps they're so angry that they have done the interviews, the series. Will they look back on this in 10 years and think, what the heck have we done? Why did we do that? I don't know. But I think many people are assuming that.
Can we talk a little bit about Camilla, the Queen Consort? Because people, I'm 58, sometimes I forget, I'm 58. Princess Diana was hugely significant in my adolescence. I remember the day her engagement to Charles was announced. We were just agog in the common room at school, just the craziest thing. Because we all thought, what is that? She was 3 years older than me. What was she doing marrying this significantly older man? And like many people of my generation, I followed her story. And so, and I think, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that she will be on the minds of many people of my age and older on the day of the coronation. What do you think?
She'll be on the minds of many people across the pond as well. Remember, she graced the cover of People magazine, which is our big magazine in America, more times, even to this day, than anybody else. I think it's like 57 or something.
Yeah.
She was obviously very loved over here, but incredibly loved in America. And I think it's the same emotion that many Americans will have as well when they're watching this coronation, that Diana, she could have been there, or, I mean, I don't know, they were divorced and all that, but and you see Camilla, and you can't help but think that from the Panorama interviews, you can't help but think that, go back to that interview and what Diana was saying. Was it Panorama?
It was Panorama, yes, no, it was.
And
there were 3 people in this marriage. Yeah. I mean, but of course there are other people, Julie, who will just think, oh, come on, this is ancient history. How many of us have got an instant-free personal life? It's just not possible. And let's bygones be bygones, and let's get behind this couple who clearly make each other happy.
And I agree with that in the sense that I have did quite a lot of research on Diana, and for another documentary I was working on, and we have to remember that when Diana and Charles married, it was at a time when the monarchy was still stuck. They hadn't evolved, and Charles had to marry the right person, not somebody who was divorced. That wasn't allowed. Somebody who came from blue blood, came from the right aristocratic background. And so a chance for him to marry Camilla was not even on the table.
No.
So he was shown a path and had set and was told, you have to take this path. You cannot divert. He's obviously made huge concessions, thank goodness, for his 2 sons who were able to marry, Kate Middleton, a convent, what do you call her?
Well, she's a commoner. Oh, God. Well, she's like me.
And Meghan, an American who's a divorcee and mixed race. He made sure that path that he had to take, chosen by his father, would be the same for his 2 sons.
And that is significant, I guess. So I wonder what will happen in terms of the public interest in the coronation on the day. I mean, most things in Britain, and I think it's true of the coronation, we start off quite indifferent. And that certainly was true, for example, of the London Olympics. I can remember the weeks before the London Olympics, every conversation was, I'm not interested in the Olympics, are you? No, I'm not interested. And then when they started, the best 2 weeks of all of our lives, just incredible. Everybody got behind it, spectacular, enjoyable, tear-free, just incredible. This seems to be a similar sort of slow burn. Do you think we're on a sort of low simmer at the moment, do you think we'll reach boiling point by May the 6th and people will get behind the whole thing?
Yes, I do. I think, listen, we have had a lot of pageantry in the last 12 months.
Well, we have. And actually, there was another question. Does it matter? Does it actually help Britain's image abroad?
Yes, I do think that it does. Let's remember that Britain is still the only country left that recognizes the royal family the way that they are recognized, head of state, right, celebrated. And without that, I think you'd lose a lot of that Britishness. I mean, this is what many people come for, is to see that balcony shot with the royal family, waving on it. So it's the pageantry, it's the ritual, it's the history that no other country still celebrates the way this country does.
Right. But I guess some cynics watching and listening might say, you would say that because you're the future, is it Countess of
Sandwich?
You're the future Countess of Sandwich.
Yes, but let's remember America doesn't recognize my title.
But I recognize it, Julie. That's all that matters.
But no, I think this is more of me coming from the outsider, yes, looking in. I still consider myself absolutely an outsider. My home is America. My home is not England. I live here.
Yeah.
But my home is America. And I would be sad if the royal family, if the monarchy just sort of stopped.
So, and you don't think it will?
Well, I hope it. I think it brings in a lot of that pageantry that we're never going to see anywhere else in the world. It brings in tourism. It brings jobs. There's a lot of good that comes with the royal family. There's also a lot of dirty laundry that gets aired.
Yeah. So you have a child, don't you?
Yes,
four. You've got 4 children. If any of them, if their eyes were to meet across a crowded room, the eyes of Prince Louis or Princess Charlotte, I don't know what. Who knows what lies ahead? Would you actually encourage? Would that be a world you'd want them to inhabit?
I believe that Prince William and Princess Catherine, and Prince Charles as well, and Queen Consort Camilla, King Charles III, and they're changing the royal family. Yes, it's a slow burn. So I do think that because they are changing, yes, luckily my kids are way too old to marry any of their children. So
I can see that's a relief for you, actually.
Exactly. But love is love.
I think it's just probably illegal to interview somebody from your family without asking about sandwiches. So,
that's right.
Well, what is your favourite sandwich, Julie?
Listen, I'm pescatarian, and mostly vegetarian. So, my favorite sandwich is, I'm just going to say it. I'm going to say it the American way, is egg salad sandwich, but you would call it egg mayonnaise.
Yes, I would.
Absolutely. Egg salad sandwich, that's what we say, is hands down my favorite. But no tomatoes or any of the stuff you put in it.
It's tomatoes, Julie, but anyway, as you well know. Well, it's been lovely to meet you, and have a wonderful coronation day. I don't think you're going to the ceremony, are you, or are you?
No, I'm commentating.
Okay, I think we might even have you with us on Times Radio on the big day. Looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.